Hello. How's everybody doing? We are live. We are doing a live build today, and this is the first time that I am doing this from scratch. Last week, we did a V1 to V2 conversion using client first. Today, I will be building a full page here. We're going to build a full homepage from the Google Chromecast built-in TV. Let's switch to the screen share here. Let's look at what we're doing. And we are going to start from a fresh client first V2 clonable. So we'll clone the starter project and we will go through and build this, not with components, not with Reloom. This is a great candidate for Reloom, but a lot of people have asked, how do I do this from the beginning? Using Reloom is great, but it's even better if you understand how all of this works, how to build it yourself. It's very empowering. So that's exactly what we're going to do. The people have asked, we will respond with this live build. And also, we had great response from Harshit's live builds. Harshit did a great job when we were doing client first V1. He's finishing up some client work. He's getting some new recording gear, and he'll be back for live builds as well. But I need to start right away. We need to get this client first V2 content out. We released the docs. Now we need to content it up. So that's exactly what this stream is all about. And I'm going to say hello to everybody here in the crowd. Let's bring up some hellos. Hello, Operation Cloud TV. Nice, effing ready. Psyched for this. Great, Alan Connor. Great to have you here. Michael Rose. Hello. Another live build. Great. Mike Douglas. Yes, I am juggling with fire today. Dale Jensen, so ready for this one. Hey all, how's it going, Dale? Great. Mika Dixon. Different topic? Yes. And I'll say different topic because people are asking for it. We're seeing great results when we're building live with Alex every Friday with technical content. And we think that Tuesday will kind of turn into that also, this live hands-on type action. So that's exactly what we're here doing. Thanks, Mika. All right, let's say hello to a few more people. Ranjan, hello. Nice, excited for this one. Been waiting for client first V2. Great. Well, now you have some real actionable next steps in building in V2. Magdalena, hello. Nice to have you. We have Pablo Cortez. What's up? Daniel Brasnio, hello. Tanette. Great. Okay, and that's it for the hellos. Let's now move to the content, and I will say that this is likely going to be more than 1 hour. I'm not going to rush through this. I'm not going to cut corners. I'm not going to... I just want this to be a full learning experience, right? Some people want 30-minute videos, but other people want this really methodical, hey, this is why we're making this decision. This is the reason we're doing this type of content. So that's what this is. And the goal is for it to be valuable for beginner and intermediate users, that we'll be talking a lot about decisions and why we're building in certain ways, not just putting the pieces together and moving on. So let's do this. I am going to start from a fresh build. I'm also going to share a Dropbox folder inside the chat. And this Dropbox folder is going to have all of the assets that we're building. The image graphics, these graphics, the app graphics, background. So if you want to go and follow along in this build, you can do that. So I will bring this up. I accidentally closed it out. Let me get this for you. Okay, copy Dropbox link. This is going inside the chat here. Assets for live build. There you go. And Victoria, please do me a favor. Let's put that in the description, this Dropbox link. Okay, great. I think we're ready here. Let's do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the client first docs. This is finsweet.com/client-first, and we are going to get the clonable. And we are going to clone. Nice. Look at this clone number. Love it. Great job, everybody. And this is going to be the Chromecast live build. You know, I can only take so many groovy sites inside the account. So I like to name the title. Okay, great. Oh no, reports of Webflow dashboard loading slowly. Uh-oh. Let's hope this doesn't affect the stream. Okay, let's request design control from ourselves, and I'll just give a nice cache refresh just in case. And we definitely want to share the finsweet.com link, not the webflow.io link, and let us continue here. Okay, great. So fresh build, ready to go. The first thing I'm going to do is remove this. We will remove the message, and we're going to get right into setting up some of the styles for the project. Before we even get into this build, before we start putting assets on the page, I'm going to go ahead and add some colors. I'm going to add some of the heading styles, add some of the paragraph styles, and so on. Also, I'll go and upload the graphics. So let's go first, upload these graphics. I'm going to go in the Dropbox folder that was shared, and I'm going to go ahead and drag all of these in here just so we have them. There we go. So we will need all of these as we build. Great. Now let's go to the style guide page. Let's start to set up some of these important classes. We're not going to do anything to the core structure here, but we are going to do some things to the heading text. So we're going to first set this as the heading text. I'll go and open Inspector here. We are not working from a Figma file. We're working from another build. So I like to use Inspector to go and get some base styles here. We're not going to follow everything perfectly, exactly 100%, but it's going to be pretty close. And the reason is, I don't know what font they're using. I'm not going to upload a custom font. It's probably a protected font, so we're not going to do that. Great example. But let's go and set this H1 color as 666. And let's go and do that. We have our heading, and this will be a color, which we will set as a swatch here at 666. And this will be a swatch for now. Let's see if we will need this as a swatch later. And let's go and make this, I don't like to do light. I think there's some readability issues, so I'm always going to go normal as the lowest amount here. Let's call this the paragraph text, which seems to be a little bit larger. So let's call this the paragraph text, and this is going to be a text size large, let's say. So if I go and look at this paragraph, we'll keep it at the 1 rem, and we'll make sure that we have a nice class here for our text size large. So perfect, 1.5, let's keep that. 1.25, we have the medium option, great. So client first is setting us up for that. We also want to make sure that the heading style H1 is matching here. So I actually need to go and make sure that I do the same style here. H1, we'll keep it at the 4 rem. Maybe we'll hit that with a 3 rem, but we'll keep it at 4 for now. 4 with the dim gray, regular. So same thing, 4, we'll go regular with the dim gray. Great. Setting up these styles, it may seem like it's a little slow to get your project started, but it's just going to help us build more. This is always where I start, specifically with the text. It's very important. So we'll go inspect. Okay, we have a different color for the content. We have this 808080. Font size 1. This is working in M, which we're not going to work with. And what is this looking like? This is the 808080 as well. And here, the 666. Okay, so it looks like the headings are in this 666 style, and the body seems to be in this other type gray. So let's go and set that body. We have the body here, and I will do this 8080. Ooh, I hate when I see that fail, but this is a live build, so we are going to continue with it. This is the lighter gray, which was set at the body font. So great. Now let's go and get this H2, and it looks like these are the same. We'll keep these the same. This is a nice H2. This is a nice H2. This, I don't know, seems a little bit off. We'll call all of these H2. I recommend anytime you're working with a client, migration or Figma or anything, and there's just a little bit of tiny variation, ask the client if you can align things. Hey, I noticed that this is 1 or 2 pixels different. Can I just align this to make it all the same here? So I'll go in here. Let's call this the normal. This looked a little bit smaller, so I'll do this at 2.5. And this was on the class heading style H2. We have to make sure we do that exact same on the tag. So I'll go back up to the tag here. It's going to be a 2.5. And we have to make sure that we adjust it to this darker gray. This was the 666 on the headings. Okay, 666 on the headings. Great. Okay, great. Let's see, any quick questions here? That's funny. Okay. Okay, let's continue here. Okay, so this is a good start for the typography. It looks like we're doing pretty well. There's not too much variation here. We'll get to this when we get to it. This is paragraph. Good, good, good. Okay, let's do the buttons. Let's do the backgrounds. And then we will get into actually building things and also this blue color. So let's do the backgrounds. Let's get some of these colors in here. And let's really make sure that we have this color swatch all set up. So we'll go and add this blue. We are going to add this background color, which seems like, yes, a different background color. Where are you? TV devices, hero, there we go. We're in an EEE for this gray background. EEE, bam. And what else? This is white. Is this a little bit of a lighter gray? Come on. See, this is where I'm talking about coming up with a bit of alignment. There shouldn't be this slight variation of gray, in my opinion. Huh. Okay. There we go. Okay, looks like we're a little bit different. Because this is a live build, we are going to follow it. And there we go. Okay, so these light variations. And you know what? To be a little bit more organized, I'm going to name these. So this will be a background 1. This is going to be a background 2. And actually, for this use case, I'm going to swatch white, just in case there needs to be a global change across all of these sections. So I will swatch white with that potential change. This is going to be, let's call this primary blue. Let's call this heading text. And this will be, let's say, body paragraph text. Great. Okay, nice. So we have a little bit of setup here. This is starting to look good. Now let's do the links/buttons, and then we will now move on. Okay, we have this text right here, this blue, which looks like the same blue here, which looks like the same hover effect on this. Okay, looks like this blue is absolutely needed in the project. Okay, so I'm going to go set it right on the text style link. This is a great class inside Client First. So I'll go and add this. This is a text link, and wonderful. I noticed that there was no text decoration, and it looks like we have that text decoration on hover. So I will go and hover. Bam. Nice. Okay. And then the buttons, right. Let's get to these buttons. Okay. So I guess we're calling this the primary. I don't like to call this the primary. I'm just going to just make up my own style here and call this the primary. And this will be the is secondary. So exactly, we have this is secondary with the border, which is, let's pick one of our grays. And then let's get that text in there to be this blue. Let's go a little bit lighter on this. There we go. Okay, nice. This is a good start. Of course, we can always change this, but having this initial start is very useful for us. Okay, now let's go to the home page. Let's start putting some elements on the page here. All right, a couple of questions do we have? Yeah, I don't know if I'm answering any of these right now. I will bring up one from Spencer. This is relevant to right now. I should know this. Well, I'm glad you're asking. Does Client First calculate heading styles for smaller breakpoints from the desktop default, or do we have to set them at each breakpoint? Good question, Spencer. So if I add an H1, it will adjust to smaller sizes. Now, of course, these can be adjusted. We can change this, but you can see that it's 2.5 at these lower, and then it goes up to 4 for desktop and tablet. So it does adjust for you. However, it should probably be changed and updated based on your project. Okay, so let's do this. We're putting things on the page. How's our view count here? 84, nice. Okay, so people are interested in this. Great to know. Okay, let's do it. All right, the first thing we're going to build is this nav. And I'll also say, this was an interesting build because when you go really large screen, I'm super zoomed out, this looks terrible. It's an absolute mess. So as we are going through this build, I'm going to show you, this is what the Google page did. This is how they approached this. And this is how we would approach it in Webflow or in Client First. So for example, we're going to build this nav, but we're not going to build it with this no max width. I think this is a very difficult interface for a user with a large screen. So let's do it. I'm going to first go in the page wrapper and add a nav component. This will be in the nav folder. This will go outside of the main wrapper. Please make sure main wrapper is only for the content of that page. And inside this nav component, what I will do is, whoops, hold on, screen got away from me. Okay, I will first go and put a padding global. Padding global is something that we're going to use throughout this entire project. You're going to see how powerful it is when it's decoupled from the other core structure elements. And inside that padding global, I'm going to put the container container large. We will container large this, and inside the container large is where we are going to have now our nav content. Inside the nav content, I can now put some flex settings. So I'll do a justify left, align center, and we will now go and add this link block, which inside has the image. I'm not going to use a lot of shortcuts here, but I will be using shortcuts A for add. I'll be using shortcut J for the image, but I'm not going to be doing super shortcuts here because it's a little bit harder to follow for beginners. And I want to make this beginner friendly as well as intermediate friendly. So we are in the assets panel, and I will take this Chromecast built-in logo. And let's give this a height of 1 rem. Great. And absolutely not with the auto name image. I am sorry about that. Nav image, and let's call this the nav image. Why am I calling this the nav image? The nav logo wrapper, and inside this is the nav logo, not the image. Okay, there we go. I'm going to give a little bit of padding on top, a little bit of padding on bottom for that nice bigger click target. And I'm going to apply more of the padding to this content layer. So let's give it a 1 rem on top. Let's give it a 1 rem on bottom. And that looks about good for me. And inside this content, we will put another div block, and this is going to hold all of the links here on this side. This is a very simple nav layout, and this is exactly how I would build this one. So we go nav. This will be the links wrapper. I should probably be building this in a Webflow nav, but I am not for some reason. Let me just finish this, and then we'll get into the nav. Okay, text link, and let's call this what's Chromecast built-in TV audio apps. So this will be a nav link. What's new? TV, audio, apps, learn. Copy, paste, paste, paste. TV, audio, apps, learn. Great. We'll make this nice and small. We'll go all caps here. So I will hit the all caps. We'll make this a bit smaller. Let's do it in 8.75. Now, I do not recommend doing this for a nav. I like to keep the text a little bit bigger than usual, but there is no problem in doing this. And we'll do a little bit of margin left here. Maybe even hit this with a 1. Let's go and, let's change all links and make sure that we overwrite the default here to go with the body text. Why have you not changed, sir? There we go. Okay, great, a little bold. This is definitely heavier text, darker text. And you know what? Maybe we even need to find a new color here. Yeah, a lot of grays, a lot of grays. And I'm not going to save this one as a swatch. We're already grayed up here. Okay, we go nothing. We'll hit a little bit of bold. And now we're going to push these all the way to the left. Great. Now, this should probably be in a nav component. Why didn't I do that? Well, I have not built a site from scratch in like 2 years, so it was just not natural for me to do this. So we can very easily convert. I'll zoom in a bit, and I probably should have been zoomed in for more of the episode. If there was some visibility problems, I apologize for that. Let's call this the nav component. Inside, we get rid of this container with the brand. Let's go and drag our good stuff in here. Padding global, we got the nav content. The nav content is going to serve as this container. Generally speaking, not generally speaking, we do not like to use the container component. It has some predefined CSS in there, and we prefer fresh CSS. And that's why we do not use that. So we don't need this brand here. Whoa, nice. 100 people. Cool. Nice. All right. I like that. Okay. Nav menu. We do need this element. Don't get rid of this one. It's an important one. This is what has some JavaScript attached to it to help us open and close that menu on mobile. So the only thing we're going to do here for this transition is to call this the nav links wrapper that we have already created. And we're just going to swap the contents inside of these. I'll remove these nav links. I always prefer to get fresh ones in there. Bam, bam, bam. We're in, we're rocking, we're rolling, we're deleting. And there we go. Now this should be what we're looking for. And again, we have some predefined CSS from the Webflow component. We'll simply go and make this our white. Cool. Okay. I made this text a little bit larger. I just really don't like text this small, so I'm not going to do it. Sorry. So this is what we will look at right here. Awesome. Okay, we got the nav component ready to go. This will be fixed. So I'll go ahead and get that fixed right now so we do not have a surprise later in the build. We'll go here with the fixed property of this right here. Fixed top, love it. Okay. We can remove this nav component. Nice. Okay, now we're in the main wrapper. And something that we can do here with page wrapper, we may want to do this, we may not want to do this. I'm going to do it for right now. Let's see if it works. Is to make sure that we always have that defined space in this fixed nav. When it's fixed, it's not going to occupy the space in the DOM, and therefore we need to make sure that we maintain that and not have our content behind the footer. So something I like to do is to define a height value. So let's try to do this at 3 rem, 4 rem. That looks like what it was at. So if we remove, it was exactly 4 rem. And see, that's the beauty of working inside this, the number system that we give with client first, because if we're following all of these values, we hit a 4 rem right here, and it's exactly the values that we had when using our padding of the nav content. Perfect. So this is 4 rem. It's not going to change from 4 rem, and that means I can even go to this page wrapper and set a 4 rem. This is not a bad strategy if every page has the nav component. So I'll do 4 rem here. And now we're always going to start as if the nav didn't exist. There's no empty space. And now we can just go in this main wrapper and do it whatever we want. Okay, I'll do a quick stop, take a sip of water, and see if there's any questions here. Okay. Yeah, please hit the like button. Thank you, Philip. I appreciate that. Tags, semantic tags. Yes, we will have to hit the semantic tags. I will try to hit those as we continue going. If I forget, just say it. Like, put it in the comments. There's just a lot to think about as we're building this page, so I want to make sure that, yeah, I don't want to forget these. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, so a great thing about using the nav component is that Webflow should be giving this a nav tag, which I don't see settings for. Okay, oh, there we go. Right, nav tag right here. Perfect. Cool. Okay, nice. Let's go in the main wrapper. So we have this nice blue bar I'm going to put this in the main wrapper, and this is going to be called our announcement. Announcement. Let's call this the announcement component. And this can have a one rem, one rem. We'll hit this with the background blue as it shows. And I do want to use the page wrapper in here, even though it's a short amount of text and we won't need it on the desktop. We will need to use this when we are at lower responsive levels. So we can have this padding global. I think I said page wrapper, but padding global. This will work really well in here. And inside this padding global, I can go ahead and add my text. The announcement component, I can go and add the center here. Looks like we need to reduce this just a little bit. This looks good. We'll call this white. We can apply this to the parent announcement component. And let's go and copy this text here. Okay, so let's do, now we're going to do a text style link here. Most of our text style links are, this is actually different. And let's say that this is going to be our official text style link. This is going to be a special text style link. I don't see this anywhere else on the page. It may never exist anywhere else in the project, right? I don't see this underline style at all. I think they have a bit too many text link styles, but this one's going to be custom because I actually don't think I want to create a combo from this. We could, is white. I can go and make this white, but this is, I just completely changed the way that that text style link is. So I'm going to define this as something special. And that's why this is going to be the announcement link. And now I do this full styling. There's really nothing for me to inherit from that text style link class. So when you're thinking about making a combo class, think, am I inheriting the styles from the base class? If I need to inherit those styles, I will inherit them and create a combo. If I'm not inheriting styles, don't make a combo. When I changed the white and the decoration, I completely changed all the styles in the base class. There's nothing to inherit. So I'm going with custom. Okay. Okay. Questions? Okay. When do you add padding? This is from Gabriel. When do you add padding directly on the component versus detaching it using a nested or spacing div? We are going to do that right now, and let's do that. We'll talk about spacing because we have our first official spacing here, our first section. So let's first go and create a new section. Let me show you where we are. We're in the main wrapper. We're done with the nav component. We're done with the announcement component. I'm now going to create a new section underscore, and let's call this a hero large. I'm going to try to use naming in this build that is universal for any project. We could call this home hero and home features and home whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to show some more general naming, some global naming where this can show on any site, any page of this site. So this is the hero large. Let's go and add that core structure here. And I will go in here with the padding global. Let's also add the, we're not going to add the container. Oh, we're actually not going to add the padding. I'm sorry, hold on. This is a pretty special section here. This is that's normally what we were going to do, and I think we're doing that for every other section here. But this one, it's a great example of why we have decoupled these elements, where we actually need to do something a little bit different here. Let's call this right into it the hero large component. Let's do a grid here. No, let's not do a grid here. Well, we could try a grid here. I'll do 0, 0. And we do not want this second row to show here. Let's go and add an image in here, or an image wrapper first. Since it's a little bit large, I like to use the image wrapper. So we'll call this the hero large image wrapper. And inside, we're going to put this image. Cool. Let's choose this huge image here. Bam. Nice. Let's zoom out, make sure that looks good. Yep, exactly. So this is what we're going for here. I'm zoomed super out, and when I zoom super out here, I think ours looks a little bit better, but that's the idea, that we're against this side. We don't want to create this empty space. But look, I'm zoomed super out, and we'll actually adjust for this. Let's do it. Okay, great. So this is what we want for this hero image large. Now, let me zoom in way back for you. And in this component, I'll also create a hero large content. And I'm going to do a flex here. I want to center this text in the middle of the page. Let's get back to normal here. Look how this is centered. It doesn't really follow our container system. These follow the container system. Even this one, we're going to have follow the container system. Container system, all this is container based, except for this. So let's get into this hero content large. I'm going to put a padding global. This is a great example of the decoupling here. I can use the padding global. It does not need to be on the end of the component. We want to create the correct amount of padding here and here when we reduce the size of the screen. So let's go and do that. We have the heading content. I want to make sure we have the hero large. You know what? I actually want to call this one content. So I'm just going to temporarily rename this. This is going to be the content wrapper. This is so we're going to stay centered. We're going to have that padding in there, and I'm going to call this container. Not container, sorry, content. Okay, great. I'm going to now put the H1. This is certainly large. So now let's run a little bit of a, this is what happens when we don't exactly size everything in the beginning. So we have a 3 rem here. We'll keep that. And I want to make sure that we apply the same to this. Great. So now our H1 is now a 3. And let's go and add this text. We will add a spacing wrapper. Nice. Padding bottom. We're going to go with a padding medium. Let's test that out. We'll add our paragraph text in there and make sure that the spacing wrapper or spacing block is in between these. If I remember, this was a bit larger, so we'll call that a text size medium. It's going to be a little bit larger than our other text. And there we go. Let me zoom out a whole bunch here. Great. Now we should apply a max width. So something that we can do is apply that max width directly to the content. We can even go and apply it in a container. So if I wanted to, I could go and do something like container small. Going super out just to show you the scaling here. and I can put this inside container small if I want it to stay inside the container system. However, this is going to be a little bit of a custom section. I want this to really be maintained not from the global classes, but from this directly. I think it's a little bit of a special item here. So I'm going to go and do 32 rem. And this way we can exactly customize how this falls. TVs with Chromecast built in. So I'm going to apply a wrap with span on Chromecast built in. I'm even going to call it in the Hero Large. Hero Large. Title one line. For now, this is what we will do. And that way we get this all on one line. It's switched to display block. And there we get this nice overflow. Cool. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Let's now go and review the sidebar here. So we made our hero large section, hero large component, the image wrapper. Inside the image wrapper, we have this giant image that extends all the way to the left side of the screen. We have our content wrapper, which is going to center this content. We're using our padding global. Love the decoupling here. This will allow us to maintain these global values, but kind of within a section, not really on the outer sides of the section. We have our content, and this is using the spacing block. Great. Now, another thing that we can do here, let's say this was truly a reusable section. If this is a very reusable section that we are going to use throughout the entire project, this hero large, let's remove this and apply it to the custom class. And that way, when I go and apply this to another page and I want to update that spacing, I don't have to go and update each spacing block. I can update just this one class and it will update on every page of the project. So there we go. Now using grid, I can let's do a 1.5 rem, and we'll just hit the 1.5 rem, and there we go. Nice. So we have our spacing, totally works, and this looks even great when we zoom totally out. Now, something else we can do here. I'm not going to do this now, but if we have time at the end, if people are still interested in this, I would set a max width to this. And that way it doesn't look absolutely ridiculous. Actually, let's just try it. So 128 rem max width. And that way, if I go and center this using the margin auto, we still have this really nice large view, but when somebody has a huge computer, they get to not see something ridiculous. So that's what I would do here. Okay, quick stop to see if anybody is asking questions. Also, please let me know if you like this. Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? I know we're already 45 minutes into the stream and we just did the first section. So this will certainly be a longer stream. I'm okay with that. But please, any feedback is very helpful. We'll definitely be doing more of these. Okay, please, let's bring up a question from Jackson Ramey. Jackson says, why style all H1 headings and then add the heading style 1? Well, this is for the purpose of styling SEO tags, not SEO tags, heading tags in a different style than the heading tag style. Let me show you that. There's a bunch of headings and tags and styles here. So imagine this was not the first thing on the page, and this was a heading 2. But we actually wanted this to be the styles of our heading 1. I can use the heading 2 for SEO, for the structure of the page, and then I can apply a style that just visually changes it to an H1 while still maintaining this important H1 or H2 tag. Okay, great. Let's continue. Brandon, perfect pace for beginners, honestly. Great. I love that. Addie, how do you add a background color to the section, applying a section or using a combo class background gray? You know, that's a great question. And I just realized that we need to go and add a background here. So this was our background color 1. We are going to add it. Let's look at a few different options of how we may want to do this. So we have our heading large component. I'll go and I can put a color right on this. This is our background 1. There we go. I can apply it right here and be done with it. This is an option. Where did I apply this? Sorry, not to the component, to the section. I can do this. This is a good thing to do if every section hero large follows this background color. So if you use section hero large throughout the entire project, it's all gray, you can go ahead and apply that directly to the class. If you want the flexibility, you can definitely go and apply background, the flexibility to change it from hero section to hero section. You can do a background color gray and then style the background color gray to whatever you want. So this will be our gray, and we'll even call this gray 1. Let's duplicate this. We're going to duplicate it to gray 2. And now we have our background gray 2. So you have the two options here. If you want it on the class, if all the classes will follow this, all the hero sections will follow it, apply it to the class. If you want the flexibility to switch it between, you can go ahead and apply it like this. Cool. So for this build, I'm going to go ahead and apply it right to this section, not the component. There you go. This is good to know. Be careful renaming these types of classes. You see how I renamed it to gray 1 and now it does not work. So I have to do background color gray 1. Nice. I'll leave it here. This looks good. Let's also go and make the same decision for this spacing. If every one of my hero elements will maintain this spacing, what I can do is apply it directly to the section hero large. And I can say for rem. So they all have this. I want to maintain that across the project. I apply it to the class. If it's not going to maintain it throughout the whole project, maybe some of them have 2 rem, some have 4, some have 0. This is where a spacing block will come in really handy. So we have our padding bottom. Let's call this the padding extra large. And if I go and drag this padding block right in here, I've now created this same space, but it's not specific to all of the components, right? It's specific to this instance. So this is really powerful, this ability to say all of the sections will be like this, all the heroes will be like this, or I want to customize them. And if it's one by one, I can use the padding block. Okay, great. So I'll keep this padding block in there. All right, we're looking pretty good for this hero. I think we're ready to move on. And now let's go to this section. This is going to be a little bit of a quicker section, a lot more of a normal section, I'd say. And we'll call this the section content row. Again, I'm using the general global namings. This is a content row. And this content row, we can use it anywhere in the project. So it's the section content row. And now let's go and add the heading global. I'll go and add my container large. I'll go and add our new class in V2, padding section large. This is a great way to unify the padding of sections specifically, not of one-off things like this, not of in-between text, of sections. And this is a perfect use case. And we'll be using this padding section, small, medium, large, throughout all the other sections. So now we're in this padding section large, and I can now create the content row component. Let's do content row component. We're going to grid this. And in this grid, do we have some serious spacing here? Yeah, that looks like spacing to me. Let's hit it with a 3 rem. You know what? 4 rem seems to be our go-to here. And let's call this a content row content. And this side is going to be the content row image. Nice. All right, let's get that image in here. Now on this was not only an MOV file or an MP4 file, but it has this blank. So we had some fun and we created our own graphic. So there we go. This is the content row image, and now we have our content row content. So let's go and add this H2. And I can see we did not update the bold here. This should not be bold. This has got to be the normal. Let's make sure that we have these styles matching. Good. Okay. So we have our H2, and you know what? I think we need to make this a little bit smaller. Yeah. Let's add this text here. I know this is probably weight light, but as I said, we're not going to do weight light. I think this is really bad for the eyes, especially for my eyes. So let's go all headings. We'll hit this with a 2. That looks like what we're going for. And I'll do the same thing. Anytime I make an update to the tag, I'm going to make sure that same thing is mirrored in the class. Great. Let's go and add this huge paragraph. Okay. And let's add this link. A link. We could apply this directly to all links. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hit it with the textile link, use this global class. I really like it. Okay, now we have the option to use blocks, right? We can put a block here, we could put a block here, put a block here. But I'm not going to do blocks because we want to create something that is universal for everything in the project, not specific to this section, right? This content row, we're going to use this 50 times throughout the project. So if we want to make an update 50 times, we don't want to do that. We want to make it one time. And that's why I'll go with the grid spacing. So we remove this, we'll hit it with the 1 rem, and there we go. And we'll also use it for this space as well. So I'll duplicate this. Let's remove the top line. Let's remove this. Nice. So this is looking good. Zoom out a little bit, get a little bit of a better view of this. Great. We will have to set some max width. Wonderful. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. Now, max width. What can we do here? There's a couple of options for how we can approach this. The first thing I'm going to try is actually to update our container large. It looks like this is not really a large container. This is more of a medium container. So this may really help with our max width issue. Nice. There we go. This is what we're looking for. Nice. And I think we can even set a bit more space in here. Yeah, that looks right. That looks like what we're going for. We can also greatly increase this padding here. So we didn't do this in the beginning of the build, but we can go ahead and say, hey, our padding section large is actually going to be 12 by 12. It's a lot, but that's what the build shows. Now, a really cool thing that we can do, let's say the client wants a little bit more space here and it just doesn't fit, but every single one of these content row contents has this grid spacing. I can go ahead and add a spacing wrapper. So I'll do a margin bottom. Let's hit that with the margin. Let's do medium for visual effect. And I can go and drag this, right? Can't drag in grid, drag it into the margin bottom. And now we get to maintain this special universal global spacing, but we have a variation for this specific element while maintaining our global margin bottom. We didn't have to create a new class. We didn't have to do anything different or anything like that. We are still working in our system. I won't do that since it doesn't actually have this in the project. We'll keep it just like this. Okay, and I think with that, we are done with this section. Okay. Let's stop for questions. Okay. Okay. Josh Lowe, you used the padding bottom block and dragged it to the top of the section hero large. Would it be the same to just name it padding top? Yes. It is the same. When we're doing our spacing blocks, it can be padding bottom, padding large, or padding top, padding large. Now, there technically speaking is no difference between these. We're just trying to more formalize padding bottom. But no, it is the exact same thing. I hope that answers the question. SRT, when a section is not possible to make responsive for tablet and below breakpoints, making the same separate section for those breakpoints and hiding that section in desktop is a good way to solve this. No, I'm actually going to say no, that's not a good way to do it. I would really push you to try to create a structure and a layout that will work for both. In most cases, even if it looks totally different, you should be able to come up with a layout, a style that just works for both, for all the different breakpoints. If there's absolutely no way, in a sense that, hey, maybe there's completely different graphics, completely different text, then yes, you can hide it and only show it at that responsive level. But usually it should work everywhere. Okay. Yes, Mark Salmon. Is there a reason to use the padding bottom as an empty div rather than just adding it to a class, then adding it as a class to the div you want padding? Well, that's just not how we're doing it in client first. So Mark is asking, well, couldn't I just apply right here? Imagine I said, hey, I want this padding top, padding extra large. Sure, you could do that. In CSS, this is totally acceptable. The reason we don't do this is for stacking purposes. You can see how we're already starting to deep stack these classes. So if I wanted to make an update to these, especially when I get to these lower levels, this is going to be really difficult for me. I'm going to have to remove classes, add them back. So really the purpose of this, of adding it to the blank div, is just so that we have flexibility. So maybe I say, hey, we actually didn't want this on the top. We wanted it on the bottom. Great, done. We want a second one. We want it also on the top. Done. So I can really go, I can copy this. I can create these extra paddings and just drag them anywhere that I want. So we feel that this is a very flexible and quick and really native feeling way to go and create spacing inside components. So that's the reason. It's just a strategy. It's a designer UX decision, really. Okay. Sam Harrison, hey Joe, when you say, what if the client wants a little bit more space, does that mean you're designing websites in Webflow rather than Figma? Otherwise, I can't imagine needing to alter space globally. Well, clients can ask for updates at any point in the project. When I'm building, I am always thinking, if the client wants to update this, I need to make sure that I am building with that intention in mind. I'm always trying to build where the client can make updates, request updates, and adjust the project, even if it's different than the approved Figma. Because the reality is they love to change their minds. Everybody loves to change their mind. And we just need to be flexible for that. So that is how I would answer that question. Okay, let's move on. A lot of questions here. We're at the hour. We're going to continue going. These are a little bit more simple sections, let's hope. And let's get into this. Okay, so look at this. This is another section that I just don't like. I don't recommend creating graphics that really bleed on the edge here, that overflow. Also this should have the full TV and you should be able to really see the end of it if you go large enough. So I'm going to build it like they have it, and then let's see if we can adjust it to make it just better. Okay, here we go. So I'll call this, you know what? I'm also going to call this a section content row. I'm going to call it a section content row because we're actually going to use this same component and just remove some of the graphics in here. So let's go and copy this. This is a great way to create this system that can really be reusable. So I'm actually just going to copy this whole thing. Adding global, we got the container medium. I'm not going to create this offset. This drives me absolutely nuts. We're not going to do this. And I am going to reduce the space a little bit. Yeah. Let's call this the padding section medium, and we'll up this to 8. Let's now call this the content row image. I want to call this the content row overflow image or image overflow. And this is now going to be the image that overflows past this. So let's go and hit this with a absolute. We'll go to the corner here. I also need to make sure that we set the parent or a parent to relative, which I would be comfortable setting this content row component to. Let's also change the graphic here so we can start working. So this is what it looks like cut off. We've also created a graphic that shows the full image here, the full asset, and I'll show you how we can make this look good. But first, let's see what we have here. So we have this absolute. Where the heck are we here? Component. Let's make the height of this like 8 rem so we can see what's going on. 12. Let's do a 24. And we did not want to apply the relative here. That was totally a mistake. Where is this? The component. We did not want to do this. We want to apply it to the row. There we go. So I can go and apply this to the left. Let me get the text in here so we can see the difference between these two. M. So look how we're going to use the same classes here so that we maintain this really nice vertical spacing. But here we have this button. We get to swap that out. Let's do button. And we will do this our button class, and we'll do the is secondary. Great. And we'll remove this. So we can apply this here. Great. Okay. And nice. So you can see we have this graphic here all the way to the end. And we're going to change this. So I'm just showing you for visual effect here. Right? We have this, we've created it. It creates this kind of effect. But I really don't like this. URL of the Chromecast website. I just found that comment, so I'm going to go and share that. I can't share that. Wow. It says I'm not a subscriber to my own channel. I don't know why, but please somebody share this Chromecast URL. So we have this graphic here. It's off to the side. But I don't like this, right? This looks terrible. So what we're going to do is create this type of bleed effect, but once it gets off to a certain level, it's going to no longer bleed on the end. So let's do this. Let's go down, zoom in a bit. This is also a bit large. Okay, so this actually extends. So let's see, did I mess up here by trying to reuse this component? I may have really put us in the wrong direction here, reusing it. See, this is what happens when you try to reuse things too much. That's why when we reuse, we like to reuse, but we want to be careful about it. Because the last thing I want to do is just apply some combo class that's going to change the spacing here. So you know what? I'm actually going to call this content overflow. I apologize for setting us in this direction, but I will call this section content overflow, and it's going to all be about the content overflow. And let's now change this. I'll duplicate it. Component. Great. Okay. So now we have a little bit more flexibility here. We don't have to have this same grid setting. We want to make sure that we have enough space for this text. And maybe we don't even use this grid, actually. Let's remove this. Let's focus on what we're doing here. Okay, so let's set a max width here of 32 rem. Great. Let's use the spacing block approach here. So we'll do a padding bottom, not padding 0, padding bottom, the padding medium. And we're going to put this in between each one here. Oop, okay, bit of a nice. Okay, we have our space, we have our overflow, and now we're going to go and try to fix this overflow. So what I want to try to do here is create a container overflow class. It's going to go inside this, and it's going to be a little bit different than the content layer. So let's try this. I'm going to first do container large, and then I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm going to call this container overflow. So imagine this overflow style is just recurring all throughout the project. This is something we can use to help with that. So let's do 96 rem. Let's see how that looks. The container overflow, I'm going to put this right above here, and I'm going to definitely apply this position relative here. So I can go grab this overflow image. I'll put it in this container overflow, and I'm going to switch it. I want to create the same effect. I want to maintain the effect that the Chromecast site has, but I want to build it in just, I think, a better way. So we see these full apps. We're going to absolute, let's do a -4 rem, -2 rem. See, we still have the cutoff. Client wants the cutoff, so we're going to keep that cutoff. And let's do a 4 rem on top. And now, when we go out, we can see we have this cutoff. It's all working, it's all working. And then it gets to a point where we say, hey, this is no longer a cutoff. I got to zoom out even more. And now you see the full graphic. So cutoff, cutoff, client's happy, client's happy, client's happy, doesn't look ridiculous anymore, right? There is a point where it no longer fixed to this side. So, and we can also adjust this. So let's go to this container overflow. We can make this whatever we want. We can make it 80. We can make it 128. We can make it whatever. I'm going to keep the 96. And let's increase this to a height of 32 with nothing here. So there we go. We have this overflowing, and then it catches right where the design shows. You get the overflow method, and bam. So this is a nice strategy here. I think this can totally work. Let's also make sure that we have this background color so we look nice. This was the other background color, if I remember correctly. Section content overflow, we can go with the background gray too. Nice. Love it. Okay, so that was pretty good. Discover apps. Nice. So we've built this section, we've maintained it. I love it. I actually like it after we built that. So great. Okay, quick stop for questions. How are we on viewer count? Let's see, 81. Nice. It's pretty good given the time. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. Yes, I see something with rem here. Okay, let's bring up from SRT. What's the reason to choose values in rem over m or percentage? Well, it's not incorrect to use m's or percentage or anything. We like to use rems because it really respects a lot of the browser settings. So zooming in like this, zooming out like this, there is a respect to this browser zoom. There's also a respect to the browser font size settings. And also, at the end of this, we're going to apply the fluid responsive generator. In here, we have this fluid responsive generator inside fluid responsive. This is going to make this whole site look next level. We see all these scaling issues on the main site. With the way that we're building, plus this fluid responsive generator, this site is going to look awesome. And it's going to happen because we're building in rems. And rems are, they're just a great way to build based on one value, the root font size. And I just love that. It's incredibly simple. It's super simple. I want to say sexy, but it's hard to call rems sexy, but I'll leave it at that. Also, we'll see this horizontal zoom, horizontal scroll, no problem. This is not using CSS sticky, so we have no problem with this. I'm going to apply page wrapper, overflow, hidden. There we go. So now I'm trying to horizontal scroll. It does not happen. And if I ever need to turn on sticky, I can have an is sticky, and this will change back. This page doesn't have sticky, so I get this really nice benefit where I can go off the canvas and it will not horizontal scroll. Okay, great. Why don't you use Overflow hidden as a combo class? Well, I don't know if you saw this, but I like to do it as a default, me personally. I apply it as a default, and if there is sticky, I will apply the combo class. Versus changing page wrapper everywhere. Riley, I don't, yeah, I prefer to do it on the base class. Most pages don't have sticky, so this tells me that it's the default. If every page in the project had sticky, I would flip this process. But most pages don't, and therefore it's less work and more default to apply it directly to the page wrapper. Okay, nice. We're looking good. Really nice here, and this is a great benefit of the spacing wrapper. Let's make this small so I can have different spacing here. Love it. Okay, next section. Let's zoom it in here. All right, we have a big background with a row of contents. Nice. All right. Let's call this the section, and we'll call this background. Call it the background image. That's really what this section is all about. Okay, we have a little bit of overflow here. If we see this as a problem in the future, we can fix it. Let's go and apply this background. So I will give it a height. This is how I would like to do it. Let's give it a 16 rem height. That's not big enough. Let's give it a 24 rem height. Looks nice. And let's go and add a background color, background image. Cover, choose, and we hit it with this one. Nice. Center it. Love it. Or how is this? No, it seems a little bit more top aligned here. Let's do a top align. And yeah, I think this is good here. Okay, we have the background image, and we can go right here and put our text. What's this text? Pack with features. So we'll give this a flex. We're going to center. We're going to go white. And now for the purpose of this, oh, it's on a heading. Great. Okay, we'll look at that. For heading, for the purpose of size for this seems a bit small. It seems like we're actually running more with an H1 style. So this is a great example. This is the heading of the class, of the, it's an H2 in terms of tag, but we want to make it an H1. Great. So we can H1 this, make it a bit bigger, and I'll also do a text color white. And there we go. Now we have our packed with features. Awesome. Okay, so this looks good for the background image. And now we can go and add this row in here. So let's go in here, and I'm going to create, not inside of the background image. Oh, this was not correct. I'm sorry, everybody. This should not be section background image. This is going to be the background image component. So let me go and change that. This is the background image component, and we need to put that inside of a section background image. So section background image, and then I never like to apply that many styles to a section. Our sections overall should be pretty plain. It should really just be a navigator tool for us so we can easily see all the sections of the project. So we apply this all on the background image component. We have this in here, and now we can go and add this in here. Great. Now, I'm not going to call this the background image component. I want to keep it in this same section, but this is actually going to be built as a reusable row of elements. And I want to be able to use this row of elements anywhere, maybe even make it a symbol. So I'm going to create another folder of this content. And this will be our features row component. There is no problem doing this in client first. It's our background image folder, and it's our features row component. And this is separate. And this is a great way to understand where in the page we are. It's the background section, the section with the huge background. So this is a features row component. Let's hit it with, a grid. Grid's a great one to do here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. Bam, 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 and wajam. There we go. We got 5. And let's remove this row. And let's get our first component, our first item in this row. And actually, just for styling purposes, I'm going to put a kind of weird background color just so we can see what's going on here on the background color. So on the component, I just want to see what's going on. I want to see the spacing. I want to see how we overflow. And I also am temporarily going to put some padding on the bottom here. This is temporary, but just for development, when I'm so close to the bottom, I just want to see a little bit more inside Designer. So image block, or div block, features row component. This will be the features row item. And we have a icon with text. Let's go icon with text. Cool. This is white in color, correct? We have the white in color. We got a fairly small icon. Okay. So let's do white in color. Why do I keep doing this? Not typography. Background. White in color. This is going to be centered text. I'm also going to center this in the box. Let's grid it. It's going to be a 0.5 rem. 5 rem. There we go. And I will give a little bit of spacing here. Let's do this one. This also needs to be much smaller, so we'll do a features row icon. Icon. And let's do a width of 3 rem. Let's give it 4. Okay, center. Cool. Oh, definitely more space here. What are we doing? Okay, a lot more space. We'll do this as 3. Okay. Do I want to build this hover effect? Not really. All right, I'm going to ask in the audience right now, if you want me to build the hover effect, say build it, build the hover effect. If you don't want me to and you want me to continue, tell me that too. Okay, but I will continue with the intention of not doing it, because to really do it the right way, I don't know. I said I wasn't going to cut corners. I said I wasn't going to go through things like this, but I'm breaking my own rules. All right. Do features text. No hover needed. It's boring. Yeah, no hover. Nice. I'm glad I asked. I thought it was also boring. Just the idea of building it was a little bit unattractive to me. Okay, so let's copy and paste this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll just randomly go and put some different graphics in here. Okay, cool. Now, so it's nice that we have this red back here just so we know what we're doing. I can apply padding like this, right? I can go and make this happen exactly as we see here. I can also use our container large, not container large, our padding global. So let's see if this is going to work. I think I can go and do a padding global here. That way we maintain our padding, and there we go. We have our space. It's going to match all of the padding space that we see throughout the project, and I like that. I'm going to keep that. This is a benefit of this decoupling of the core structure. A lot of people say, hey, I want one element, all the styles on the section. But if we did that, we wouldn't be able to keep these, I think, really great decisions to maintain the global padding. Now, remember, this will adjust on tablet and mobile as well, which is a huge benefit for us as we go responsive. So let's go and negative margin this. And it looks like we're a bit up here. 8 feels about right. Cool. Let's remove our testing color. Let's add a little bit of shadow just so we can see what's going on here. I'll go 180 with a 2 and a super light right here. Nice. And let's see, as we get larger here, looking good, just like the original project. Nice. So same thing's going to happen. Completely out. It looks like we may need a little bit more size here. No problem. I'll give it 32. Love it. And it looks like we may even want to pump this up a bit. Love it. Cool. I think we're done with this section. This looks pretty good. Totally loving it. Right? Nice, nice, nice. Oh, you know what? There's a little bit less space here. 0.5 rem, 0.5 rem. Sweet. Nice. Love it. Let's go. Okay, next table. H2 centered. Let's do this. Okay. Yeah, you know what, Josh? Gap needs to be smaller. You're right. It's super small. This is like a micro gap. Yeah, that's the micro gap we're talking about. Although I do not love this. But this is that's what it is. Okay, next section. So we've done all these sections, and now we will do our section table. Section table. Let's call this a comparison table. We're be a little bit more specific here. And Oh, let's also do this. We'll do a quick fix for this. Section background image. I'm just going to put this at a 1. Oh, don't even need to, but I'll just to show the reason for this. There we go. And really what I can also do is align the height here with this. So let's do a minimum height of 32 rems. There we go. And now we should not have that issue. Cool. All right, let's do it. Comparison table. Close her up, open it up, and now we will go and add the padding globe. Let's hit it with our container. I believe this one is quite small. And in this, we're going to do our section padding section small, I want to say. This could be a bit too small for us. Yeah, I want to say it is. As we bump these values, let's see what it looks like. H2. Yeah. Yeah, we'll rock with that for now. Okay, and we have centered. This is our first centered text. And because it's the only thing in the section centered, what I'm going to do is apply it right here to the heading class. And this will be text align center. The text, paste it in. And now I can use a spacing block to create some space for the table. Let's go with a medium. Nope, let's hit it with the large. Nice, come on. Okay. And now let's get this table going. So I'm going to also call this a very general name, thinking that we may be reusing this in the future. So let's go with a table component. What we're going to do here is we'll start with the rows. We're going to create a column class, which will remain global across all columns. And then we'll use a combo class to differentiate this type of column and this type of column. So let's do that. Let us first do the row. So this will be our table row. And the table row is going to have some columns. Table column. And there will be 3 of these in the row. So here, let's make the row flex so we can see what's going on. Here we go. We have our text block in here. And this also has some text and text. Feature, phone is remote, traditional remotes. Feature, phone as remote. Of course, that's what I copied. Traditional remotes. Love it. Okay. Cool. Looks like nothing yet, but hold on. We're going to get this. So now what I'm going to do is apply some combo classes so that we can create these different styles here. So I'm going to call this is feature, and this is result. Or I'll say is dot. Let's call it is dot. So let's do this is feature is dot. And hold on, this will all come together. I hope. I hope it all comes together. So the is feature, we're going to push this out. This is going to be definitely flexing. Okay. And now let's start to create a second row so we can see the next row of content. Okay, so we have a dot here. We have this voice enabled. This will be a dot. Dot, dot. We'll give this a 2 rem. That's way too big. 1 rem, 1 rem. We'll do the background color of probably this one. %. Cool. Okay. Now, it doesn't look like much, but we are going to really make sure that this is correct. So, is dot, let's apply a width to this. When I go and scroll into this, it kind of seems like, let's see, this one's not changing as much. This is changing, and it makes sense because there's a lot of white space here. So look, as I zoom in, less space. So this is going to be flexible as we have it, right? This is going to take up the available space, and this is going to establish the space. So we have a width, let's call it of 4 rem. Do a 6 rem. Let's do an 8 rem. Okay, let's do a 1 rem on here. That looks good. Let's give this the center. And also we will have to align these dots. So not only center, but we're going to flex center this. Nice. Okay, so now we're starting to look a little cool, right? This is looking a little bit like what we're trying to do here. Now, let's get on the combo class of the rows. We're going to create some gray here. We're going to get this color. We'll do another combo class for is top, and this will be a really nice custom table while still maintaining a really strong global class system, or flexible class system, I'll say. All right, let's do an is gray. And the is gray is going to be gray. I'll call it the background too. Nice. And we do definitely, let's see, do we want to apply this spacing here? I think we do. So watch it, the really nice flexibility we have for table column. Let me explain the thought process in here. It's very valuable to understand this. Right here, the reason why there are two classes, the table column is dot, and then the table column is feature, is so that we have the ability to manage this for every single column, not just for is feature, not just for the is dot, for everything. So here we've applied this padding to is dot, but we actually want this for all of the columns. So I'm going to remove this. And instead, I will apply it to the base class. And this is much more powerful. When we have these on 20 pages, this type of decision is going to save us a lot of time and effort for these kinds of changes. So look, I have now applied this at the base class level. And anything that we want special on top for just is feature, we can do. But that doesn't affect our is dot. Cool. All right. And now let's also go is top. Let's hit this with, I believe, a blue color. I believe this is smaller. Nope, this is normal. A little bit heavier weight, I'd say. Let's go semi-bold. And yeah, is top. What else do we have here? We have some lines. Okay. We have a border top, border bottom. Now remember, this is on the is top. So we're still going to have a component global class of table row available to us. You'll see how powerful this is. 1 and one with these colors. Let's just do this for visibility right now. Great. Okay, nice. We got the is top. Now, we also need this top one to be gray. So we're going to use our combo classes together, but separately. So we have our is top there, and we have our is gray. So we're actually going to apply the is gray right here. Nice. There we go. So now I can go and continue applying these. Bam, 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 and hit these with the is gray. Now it's starting to look like something. Great. And what do we end on a white? We end on a gray. So I'll remove this. Cool. And we can apply these. I don't want to do this. I'm going to apply one more for the is last. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I apologize. No reason to put that on the row. I'm going to put that on the table component. So bottom one, hit this. Nice. Okay, this is looking pretty good. And look what happens when we make this smaller. So we can go, see how the dot rows are not adjusting. That's what we want. And just the features rows are adjusting. Perfect. This is exactly what we're looking for. Okay, and we need these lines. Perfect. We can put this right on our column. Table column is dot. So I'll go with this left. I'll hit it with the 1, and we'll go right here. Okay, and this is not what we want. So let's see why this is happening, and that's because it's on the row. Okay, so we need to back up a little bit. We cannot have this separated look, so I'm going to remove this. Hey, what am I missing here? Table row, feature. What do I want to do here? How do I want to approach this? Let's see. Huh. I was feeling really good about this until right now. Still feel good about it, but not as good. I don't want these. Let's see. Let me just stop for a second, let my head breathe, and I'll read through some comments here. Okay. Zoom out. Great. Okay. So, you know what? I think we don't want to apply this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me jump back into this. I actually don't want to take a quick break here. Let's see. All right. I'm going to remove the is featured. We're going to remove all this stuff. Bam, bam. Why is this still creating space here for me? This is what we need. All right, so I'm applying it right here. Wasn't as cool and sexy as I hoped, but that's what happens. Okay, we do need to push this out as feature, and there we go. Okay, so there we are. Here's what the issue was. So I was applying the spacing also here, which was really breaking this layout. So instead of applying padding to this, I have now changed that padding to the is dot. So now I can go to the table row or this table column is feature and just give a little bit of padding here. 1 rem, 2 rem, whatever we want. I'll go 1 rem. Okay, now this looks good. Cool, cool, cool. I'm not going to build this dropdown. Fun fact, we will be releasing something super awesome for this soon, which I cannot talk about, but you will be able to do this very quickly in a short period of time. Okay, this looks great. I'm starting to get happy with this. And I think that we're ready to move on. This is a good way to continue here. Let me just change the border color. It's just a bit aggressive. Just a little bit less. Really didn't help. Okay. That was a waste of time. Whatever. We're good. Okay, nice. On to the next section. Let's go and build this. Really simple. Probably will not be building this effect either, but just going to show you how I would approach this full width section. Okay, nice. Let us continue here. Let's close these up. Go in the main wrapper. And let's hit a section TV partners. Section TV partners. And we will do the same thing as we always do with our padding global. We're also going to add, a container large or even a container small just for this text, right? We just want it for this text, and it's the other stuff is going to work outside of that system. So I'll go and add a heading H2. Let's go here. We have the same thing as above where we do the text align center. This is just not enough spacing for me, so I'm going to change this to a medium. Great. And also, we can choose to, we'll do the same thing. We need this spacing. This one does look small. So let's go padding global, container small. Inside this, we will do a heading section small. And actually, because of this one, this specific section, we're just going to wrap it in the title. That's it. Because the thing under it is full width. We're not going to work in a container. So this is a great way to stay within the system while still keeping this full size layout. So background, this has a background color. This one will apply right to the class. And let's now continue with the TV partners component. And this will certainly be a grid. We'll do a 0, 0. And this is a 4 by 2. 4 by 2. Great. And let's do a TV partners item. And we'll just do a simple effect here where I hover over it and it will go to our white. Okay, but we want just a centered logo here. That's all we're going to do. So we're here, center, center. Let's hit it with a image in the middle. That image will be here. So TV Partners logo. All right. I usually like to adjust by height. So we'll do a 2 rem here. And let's do a nice, don't want to make the logo smaller. I will apply some padding here, but really we're going to create the height by means of height. So let's do a min height of 8 rem, 12 rem. Cool. Okay. Why? Oh. Some of the grids, rows, or columns are too small for on-canvas controls. Really? Oh, that could have been a Zoom-related issue. All right, so I'm just going to go and toss a bunch of logos in here. Logo, logo. Oops. Nice. Cool. There we go. So check this out. Nice, nice, nice. Now, something else that we can do now that I'm seeing this, we can keep this as is. We can also take this padding section small and just wrap it a little bit further up. So let's see what that looks like. I'll drag this out. I'm going to drag the padding section small up a bit, and I will go padding global in here. So now I get the actual padding underneath. Oh, this doesn't even exist. Does this change color? No. This is, no, we do want this space underneath. Okay. So good. This is what we want. And instead, I will now paste a spacing block. Beautiful use case of the spacing block. And let's do large. Okay. Nice. Okay, and what's up with this here? I will say I'm a fairly new person in Grid. Actually, Grid was released in Webflow after I stopped building. So I stay simple with Grid. And I also recommend that other people stay simple in Grid. It could get confusing really fast. So why are these not 4 rows here? Yeah, I really don't like to apply this node-based style. Anytime you're adjusting these and it turns this color, this means it's not really applied to the class, it's applied to the node from within the class, which I think is a little bit annoying to deal with in Designer. Okay, can someone help me out here? Yeah, why is this, why, I don't know why this is happening. Let's do a 25%. Bam, bam, bam. Good, done. Okay, there you go. That's it. And now we can create these borders. Whoops. Let's create these borders from the middle. Good. And then to make sure they are equal on top and bottom, I will add another pixel on top and another pixel on the bottom. There we go. Now we have these nice, beautiful pieces here. Cool. All right. Okay, I think I'm fine for that. Um, Wonderful. We're almost done. We have a footer left. Pretty good timing. I thought this would take about 2 hours. We're closing in on about 2 hours. So if you were here from the beginning, give a shout out in the crowd here if you've been here in the beginning. That's impressive. And please, if you like this video, give it a like. We want this to be something that beginners or even intermediate people can go and find and really enjoy. And when you like it, that tells YouTube that it is likable. So great. Okay. Let's do this. And I hate how lazy I was with this. Okay. Just going to do a little less color on here. So let's go. Okay. Looks a little bit more like the real thing. Okay. Footer time. This is where the magic happens. I love footers. Okay. Next, we have a footer, and it shouldn't be in the main component like I have here. So if I have this main component, I want to put the footer outside of it because it is not for this page. It's for the entire project. I'll now remove the temporary page padding on the bottom. Now we're ready to close this up. And let's continue with our normal structure here. We're going to have our add global. We're going to have a container. This seems quite small, and I'll do a footer content. And you know what? I think I may have just deleted the page wrapper a bit too early. I just like a little bit of space down here while I work. Okay, we have our footer content, and let's create, I guess, a grid. We can grid this up. Yeah, let's grid it up, and I'm going to create 2 rows here, a top and a bottom. So it's our footer content. Inside, we're going to go footer top, and I'm going to put a footer bottom right next to it. So just so we see what I did there, I have footer content with a top and a bottom, slightly different structures. They're both inside the content folder, the content element. Okay, top, let's grid it up. Remove the second row. And I'm going to go image, Chromecast built in. Nice. And now we will do these rows here. Support latest news, Chromecast. Okay. So I'm going to call this a footer column. This footer column, I'm going to give grid, and it's going to be a 1-column grid, and the gaps will be at a 0.5 rem. And this way we can have our title, and each one of these is going to be a text link. Support, help center, help forum. You know what? I'm not going to put those in right now. You're not here to watch me type. Title, text link, are they the same size? Yes, they are. Great. This, and you know what? I'm going to do a spacing wrapper here. Actually, no, I'm not. This needs a custom class, so I will apply footer, column, title. It needs a custom class because it's slightly different font here, or different text. It was pretty black, so for the purpose of this, I'll go black, and we'll go a little bit bold here. Yep. And there we go. That looks pretty good. So I'll now duplicate, duplicate, and there we go. Now we're starting to have this really nice looking footer here. And looks a little bit weird spaced, but I'm going to keep it equal here. I think this looks good. Okay. And let's call this the footer logo with a max width of 3 rem. Whoa. 12 rem. Nope. 8 rem. Should I have just kept it? Probably. Great. Okay. And the footer component, we're going to put some padding on it, and I'm just going to make it custom. This doesn't look like it fits into our other sections, and also this is a completely different type of section. So let's go 2 rem, 2 rem. We will apply the background color, not that. A little bit darker, perfect. Let's go with the footer bottom. I'm okay giving it right to the custom class here. Oh, 2 rem to the custom class. And we can have a little bit more simple layout here for this HDMI thing. HDMI. We have a massive text block. Blah, blah, blah. Legal bullshit. Great. Okay. And of course, like all legal text will make it impossible to read. Great. Oh, yeah. Can't read that. All right. Let's do footer HDMI. Great. Oh, yeah. We are looking good. Nice. Okay, I'm not going to build the drop down, but I will build this really simple line here. And this needs to be part of the footer component. Wow, this is a bit of a curveball here. This is part of the footer component, but we have already applied this. So I'm actually going to remove this background color. And now the footer component really has to break into 2 separate sections. We already have our footer top and bottom. Let's go footer dark, footer light. Really, footer top and bottom would be a little bit more appropriate for this. But yeah, I'm okay with this. Footer component. We'll now no longer apply this to this element, and we're going to go right in the dark. So now we're separating this so that we can maintain the whole footer component, but have the separate background colors. So we'll go with the background color 1. This is still part of the footer component, which we do. I forgot the semantic tags. When we release this as a clonable, it will have all the semantic tags, but I really didn't think of it as we were building. Okay, footer light, we'll make sure that this has a clear background white. And again, we'll do our padding global with our container small. Nice. With a couple of footer light row. Let's go flex here, here, and let's get some text links. I don't like this naming. I don't love the naming I'm giving here, but honestly, I think I'm ready to end this live build pretty quickly. So, yeah, bear with me. It could be better renamed. And you know what? I could apply it right here. I could also apply it to the grid. But for right now, this is what we're rocking with. Love it. One rem, one rem. Remove this. Nice. Love it. Okay, we are doing pretty well. And I would even say, as a live build, this is complete. Of course, it could spend another 3 hours really adjusting everything, making it perfect, doing all of this type of stuff. But for the purpose of this live build, I think we've done a really good job here. Let's publish it. Let's see what the publish page looks like. Hopefully good. And yeah, this is looking pretty darn good. Nice. Right? Like these gray, the borders aren't perfect, the text isn't exactly correct and all that, but this is what we went out to build, and we've built it. So great. Let's see, publish page. Nice. This makes me want a Chromecast. Nice. Oh yeah. Cool. Okay. Oh, sorry. There is one more thing that we need to do. Yes, Gabe, make it responsive with the client first responsive tool. Absolutely. And Gabe, actually, I don't know how to do this. Maybe you can help me in the chat. How am I going to drag the screen up and down since we have this fixed nature of the screen share? But let's go and do that. Okay, fluid responsive. I'm going to just take the default, right? We can edit this and we can play around and make it perfect, but I'm just going to grab the default, which is a good starting point here, especially when we get to these levels and scale up. So I'm going to copy to the clipboard. And sorry, I'm going to remove the style tags and then copy to the clipboard. And I'll go inside here. Patrick, this is also an answer to your question. Thanks for coming, Patrick. Appreciate that. We're using REMs because we get to be really flexible when we want to make this type of responsive update. There's a lot of reasons, but this you'll see is going to be super powerful. This is going to scale our site specifically for using REMs. REMs are based on the browser font size, and because of that, we can now create this really nice scaling project. Let's see. Let's zoom way out. Way out. And see, this is starting to look pretty good when we go super, super wide. And you can see the text is actually getting smaller and larger with us. So the site, this text, look at the text getting smaller and larger, and look how large this screen is, right? We're at a massive zoom out right here. This is like a huge TV display. And when we're zooming in and out, our text is getting bigger, so the experience doesn't change for us. We don't have this massive change in the way that things are scaling, which is great. And now let's try one update to see if we can get this a little bit better. I think we can. Let's go. I think we're going to want to. This could be a little dangerous here, but let's see. Yeah, exceeding recommended level. Let's try this. Okay. So this should have a bit more of an aggressive zoom. And I think the fluid responsive tool is just perfect for this type of site that really was made for big scaling. I think the Chromecast, the people who built this site did not do a good job in this scaling for people coming in. You can see how this looks on the super zoom, right? This looks like absolute garbage. This would not be acceptable in the Webflow world, but we have much better ways to build, so we will do that. So look what happened when I zoom all the way out. Not perfect, right? I can definitely adjust this and make it better, but this doesn't look like garbage. This does. This is the same zoom level, right? So this is what that responsive tool is doing for us. it's giving us some maintainability of the way this looks, right? And if we had a real image here, we wouldn't have to have this on the outline, right? We could use the same thing we did for this. This was such a nice implementation. I'm so happy how these icons came out, where we catch them on a container overflow. So if we had the full image TV here, we'd do the same thing. We'd keep it here, and it would, when you get to the screen size, it wouldn't expand so much. But really, that's what this is doing. And let's give just a little bit of a zooming preview here. Look at that. Nice scaling. Oh, yes. This is what you want in a scale. Love it. Okay. Yeah, Gabe, thank you for reminding us about that. That was super important. So, okay, I'm now going to start winding down the live stream. Something else I'll do is, check this whole build over, make any slight tiny adjustments, and this will be built as a clonable, or it will be released as a clonable. Read-only link, yes. Mike Douglas absolutely can do a read-only link. I don't know why, but YouTube has kicked me out of the chat. I'm not a subscriber to the Finsweet channel. So hold on one second. Actually, Victoria or Gabe, I'm going to share you this in the chat. So please go ahead and share this. This is the read-only link. Please share this with the community. It will be released as a clonable. But yeah, if you want to get started right away, please do that. Wow, impressive to still see 68 people here. That's great. So if this was confusing, watch it once, watch it twice, follow through. I think there were a lot of good decisions and good thought processes made in this stream. That to me is the most exciting part, to explain to you some of the thought processes of Client First. And of course, we cannot leave without checking the folders. It's going to be pristine. Announcement, background image. We have our content overflow, our content row, our features row. Look at this organization. Nice. Let me zoom in here. Oh, yeah. Wow. Nailed it. So this is the beauty of folders. This is the beauty of naming in this way, because after a whole project, a whole build, if you did it right, you should see a really nice arrangement of your folders. And utility folders were not hurt in this process. We didn't really edit too much of these. We did add a container overflow, so that goes in there. But you can see how organized this page is in the build. That is Client First. Okay, so thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm now going to take like a 3-hour break and do nothing, because I feel great now, but I know when I step off of this computer, I'm going to like pass out. So yeah, I really appreciate it. If you like this, give a comment in the YouTube, like it. And if we see that a lot of people like this content, we will do more of these. We can do simple ones like this. We can do more advanced ones. We can jump into huge projects, whatever. So thanks. Have a great day, and see you on Thursday and Friday and next Tuesday.